PK here with the new look, the new me. Actually, it's a combination of the old me and the new me. Meaning with the old me, I wore a very expensive, it happens to be a $1,500 jacket. I used to get dressed up with a suit and tie when I was in my 20s and early 30s in the trading business. And then into the new me, which is the out-of-the-box version, living in the paradise and in my bathing suit. So I thought I would combine the two as I would say, the new me. Anyway, so let's see. What we're going to talk about in out of the box today is, and I see this all over the place, I read it constantly, is will the major fiat currencies become worthless? This is the topic we're going to discuss. But I think before, I'd like to just make one little comment here. Actually, two comments. The first comment is, I've had a few people write me, one in particular. He said, PK, he's an old geezer with a young wife. And I want to tell you, say, look, I could only wish all of you that when you become old, if you can be lucky enough to have it, because of the money, that's what, to find somebody who's 2 generations younger than you. She's close to 20 years younger, Bulgarian girl, very beautiful. But let me tell you, what matters is how does she treat you, and vice versa. If you're a girl, it's really all about that. And not just, she's with me because of the money, because I'm sure many of you have been with people, you have money, they're spoiled, and they treat you horribly. I'm very fortunate, I've been married, my second marriage, we've been together 10 years, and as I said, she's an incredible girl, just so great to me, takes great care of me. So listen, I want to wish all of you, if you're in that situation when you're mid-50s and you're alone, if you could find a much younger girl, so what's about the money? Because if she treats you badly, you got rid of her. This is the bottom line. If she treats you great, you can only be so lucky, and I'm very, very grateful to have that. So anyway, I wasn't going to comment about the market today, but we've had, quite a down day. Right now it's about 3:30 on Tuesday, on the 4th, of course, with the East Coast time, and the market was down. The S&P was down over 60 points. Looks very bad, though. We'll see. It's come back about half. And again, the silver, which was, I don't know if you saw the post. I did make a silver trade. I went long. I know you probably wouldn't believe it, but I told you, or at least I'm trying to tell you, that for me as a trader, I'm not hung up on the direction, long or short. If I see something that looks great to me, as like in a poker playing a pair of aces, I'm going to do it. Now this was a quote-unquote day trade. Hell, I bought it last night at 10:30. The silver was about down 10 cents. I bought it in Asia. And what did I buy? I bought those 3 paper contracts that you think are worthless and have no meaning. Well, I can tell you, after 6 hours, and I got up around 5:30 this morning, it's East Coast time, I was up about $2,500. So I took it, and I turned that money into real money. And I'm going to pay bills with it. So you can tell me all day long, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake. Who cares? Right in this moment today, this money is real. It is real money because you can do things with this. Pay bills, pay your rent, go on vacation, which I happen to be going. I'm going away for 6 weeks. May 17th, I'm going to Europe with my wife. So anyway, so today, I think silver's going up. After yesterday's up $1, it looks like, to me, it should go up. But today's action, It was down over 60. It goes to 70 cents, which is, it shouldn't be this way. But I see now, right now in the July, let's see, one moment. It's down to about 50 cents, 26.50. So there's some buying down there, but I surely wouldn't call this some follow-through buying after a strong day. But to me, the silver really isn't an uptrend because of yesterday, and I will look for buy for the short term. Remember, I think the metals, gold, silver, and the stock market and the Bitcoin, they're a buy, but not here. Some people think, oh, that means PK must be short silver and gold. Not here. Just because it's just not a place I'd be going long for the long term. Now remember, I'm a trader from 1 to 4 days, so I'm looking for a shorter term opportunity. But I know for you in the long term, this is not the place to be buying gold, silver, stock market, Bitcoin. I think it looks like we're heading for some retracement, which look finally, but we'll see. As I said, I keep the trading 1 day at a time and look at it this way. So that's that. So anyway, the subject is, will the major fiat currencies become worthless? We know this is one of the major talking points. And what I wanted to mention to you is that, I was very close to becoming a defense lawyer. I wanted to be an attorney. When I went to school, I thought about it because I'm fascinated by the law. So I'm going to try to put my my lawyer hat on. I'm a closet case lawyer because I think a lot of these, I feel like this whole thing with the gold, the silver, the market, the Bitcoin, they make all these arguments. I feel like I'm in the courtroom. I'm on the defense, and I'm giving you my argument, my quote-unquote evidence, and I'm listening to the prosecution's evidence, which I'm going to go over now. And then, the jury makes a decision based on looking at the same evidence, difference of opinion, and really what is evidence. Of course, I'm going to be doing probably another video on what is real evidence. But anyway, let's talk about the points if you're on the prosecution. And I see this, all of you know this, and these are on all the gold, silver, Bitcoin, stock market's gonna crash, and you gotta buy the metals, and everything's coming to an end. The fiat currencies, they all come to zero, so they all go worthless. But my first point is this: it is true. It is a fact. The history books all say that all fiat currencies become worthless. It's just a matter of when. Even Voltaire had some famous quote I've listened to a few people say that this has to be. I guess, of course, my comment would be, well, there was no America when Voltaire made this comment. But I can tell you, so this is a fact, and this to me is a valid argument of why currencies will go to zero. There'll be a crisis. I can accept that. And number two, listen, I happen to see these things with my own eyes, meaning I would happen to be in Venezuela in my 20s, 21. I went to Caracas, I went to Rio de Janeiro, and I saw this hyperinflation. And every day, the currency, weaker and weaker, and people scrambling, and the damage it did to the society. I saw it with my eyes, so this is a real argument. There's nothing fake about this, and it's not a theory. I also saw, I didn't see it, but I heard about it, and even in Bulgaria. I have a Bulgarian wife. I lived there for 12 years. But my first fiance that I never married, her mother, there was a banking, same thing. They had a banking crisis, hyperinflation. After the wall fell in 89 and 1994, she told me that her and her husband, they had I read this, all their money in the bank. What happened? We hear this argument today. Lost everything. The bank went to zero because the currency was going, hyperinflation. All these same arguments. So I want to say I did see it in two countries. Now, remember, of course, I want to tell you that my side of the coin here about this hyperinflation and all fiat currencies go to zero. Well, I am not a believer. I'm talking about the major currencies. Remember, we're talking about the dollar, like for instance, the dollar, the euro, the Japanese yen, the Chinese yuan, even maybe the Russian ruble would qualify. The dollar is still the reserve currency, and I read I've heard, like all of you tell me, and don't you know, there's so many, it's what everyone says. Fiat currencies are all worthless, it's all fake, it's going to go to zero. And I don't believe this. I think the times have changed, and they're not going to let this happen with the major currencies. Yes, you can give me examples of these smaller countries, all sorts of problems. I saw it, as I said, I saw it. So, but for me, I'm not buying that argument that it could happen in a major currency, especially the US dollar. Now, does this mean? Okay, so that's point number two. Number three is the other huge argument which is a fact, which is we all know this: the printing of money. They're running that printing press like crazy regarding the virus and the bailouts and the stimulus checks, and it's go on and on. We know this is not a good thing, right? But what I want to tell you is I'm a believer, I think probably the only one from my listening everyone on the YouTube who are talking about these issues. I'm one of the only ones who I think the dollar is going to be okay. It's going to be strong. It's going to hold. It's not going to crash. It could be in some trading range. I'm not saying it can't go a little bit lower, but I don't see this happening. So again, I'm not a believer that all fiat currencies, especially the major ones, will come down. Especially now. I don't see the evidence. I just hear theories about it. Because it's happened in the past, it means it's got to happen now. And yes, we have some of these facts with the relentless printing of money and how bad this is. And this was going to cause it, and this was going to be a trigger. Look, I know all the arguments. I've heard them. I'm aware of them. I'm not saying I don't know these things. I do read them. I just happen to believe in something else. I don't believe these things are really going to happen. And the reason why I think the dollar, which no one has really gone this direction, they don't think this way, is because they're raising long-term interest rates. I'm in this trade. This is only long-term future trade I'm short the long-term 30-year Treasury bond. Forget about the 10-year. Because I think long-term rates are going up, but I think this is what's going to keep the dollar strong in the world, to stay with that dollar. They don't want this thing to crash. This would be very bad for China, bad for Russia. Especially China, they're the biggest holders of our treasury bonds. Why would they want to destroy it? You can say, well, they want to take over the world. Well, maybe they want to take over the world, but when it comes to money, they would never have all these treasury bonds and continue buying them. So they're going to be forced to raising rates. This could go higher. Remember, starting at a very low level. And yes, there's going to be inflation, but I don't see this hyperinflation. Yes, things are getting more expensive, but okay, that's just how it goes. We have cycles like this, but I don't see it bringing down the system. And listen, the other thing I want to mention is, look, if many of you are buying, I'm not I think buying gold and silver, the physical, this is not the way. Except, you can't have it both ways. This is what I want to say. For you people who are buying the gold and silver bullion, if you're the only reason to buy the bullion and keep it on you and keep stacking and stacking is only, in my eyes, only for one reason. And I think this is the fact. You must be a believer of this fiat currency that's going to zero. Your Bank of America, and all the banking system is going to crash. Everything's going to go crash. And this is the reason you're stacking. Because at least your gold and silver will have some store of value. And so, what I want to say is you can't have it both ways. Meaning, if you, one of these people that believe in this, that I want to say the whole world is coming to an end, and you're going to be using your gold and silver to be bartering, to be buying for food and paying for things. And let me tell you right now, you better sell your house now. Take this money. You better be growing a garden. You got to go all the way. You can't have it both ways. Say, okay, I'm going to put some gold and silver away as a hedge. But I'm telling you, the bullion is not the way to do it. All of you who are buying, stacking, buying the coins, the ounce bars, the only reason is if you truly, deeply believe that we're in such trouble that the banking system is going to crash, the COMEX, the stock exchange is the whole financial system is going to crash because of all these facts, things that are happening. As I told you, I believe in the facts. These are the facts. They are printing the money. They are doing these things. They are, what did I mention? There is inflation coming back. It is in the history. But if you're not one of those people, if you're not a believer, if you're doing it for a hedge, you want to take some of your portfolio, which, like I've mentioned before, I think buying gold and silver for the long term is a good asset class, even the Bitcoin too, to have in your long-term portfolio. But I would never buy it with the bullion. Only if you're one of those people who think everything's coming to an end, then you should dump everything now and you better prepare. Because if you think, and plus, you got to think this is going to be happening, this year, next year, within 3 to 5 years. You can say, oh, one day, maybe in 20 years. 20 years, you could be dead. Your health could be history. So you're going to spend your whole life preparing for this end of the world disaster, financial disaster, and let your life go by. Meanwhile, you could be either investing some of a portion of your portfolio in these things the correct way, which you know what I feel through ETFs, futures contracts. So that's really what I want to say. So let me just quickly make sure I didn't forget anything about that. I have my notes because I could ramble on forever, as you see. Anyway, yeah. So I think that's pretty much it. So the question is, as I started the show for Out of the Boxes, will the major fiat currencies become worthless? Major. The answer in my eyes is no. And I don't see the evidence now. I just see facts, some things, and you're drawing a conclusion. Because of this, because of A, then B is going to happen, and it's going to happen soon. And this is why I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Buying the coins, stacking the silver, things like buying Bitcoin, not for hedging or for an asset class, like if you bought an index or real estate. But you must be a believer. Listen, I know I have one person I met here in Florida. He believes this. And listen, it's okay. Maybe he's right. I can tell you one thing. If this happens, and I try to be wrong, I'm not preparing. I'll be broke. I have my money at Bank of America. Become worthless. I'm 61. I don't think it's going to happen. Doesn't mean where I have difficult times. Doesn't mean things won't go up. We're going to have these things. I don't have to tell you that. But is the banking system going to crash and the dollar going to go to zero in the stock market? All these things, I'm not a believer. I think things are going to be okay. Remember, one final thing. When you talk about, the other part, one piece of evidence, too, you can say, look at commodity prices. Well, okay, let's look at them. Let's look at lumber. Let's look at copper. Let's look at soybeans. These are commodities that are really going up. And you can say, you see PK? It's because of the dollar. This is not the reason. This is not the reason. It's because the demand has gotten much stronger. Commodities, in my opinion, the value of the dollar is a small factor. It's a factor, but it's a small factor. What runs commodities is supply and demand, not in relation to the dollar, what everyone else argues. The prosecution argues. So, PK here, as an attorney, dressed as, look, partial suit. I wish everyone a great trading day. Let's see what happens to the silver. It is disappointing. It's down 40 cents. It's still a disappointment even to me. Thank God I got out of it. I did make some money. You said if I kept it, I would have given it all back. I'd use my stop at break even. But I made some money. But the point is, I want to let you know, I go along the silver or the gold, whatever I see that looks great to me, I'm going to do it. With in my eyes, with a fixed risk. So this PK, I wish everyone a great week, and we'll speak to you again tomorrow. Ciao, everybody.